Greetings, traveler. I am Sir Nox, the teller of tales. Would you like to hear one? This one is called Butthole Furry DMPC tries to assault my friend's character, gets trolled in the process. Oh, a happy ending! Hopefully, because this description sounds horrible. Hello, one and all. This is an epic story of insane furries, assault, and some classic trolling, at least to my standards. I'm fairly new to D&D and my friends. This happened a couple months ago, so sorry if I forget anything. I don't have a great memory. Don't worry, we weren't there, so we're not going to know what you forgot anyways. Laying the groundwork for this story, the names of my friends and that creep of a DM have had their names changed. Me, a level 3 human bard. I'll get more into the characters as we progress through the story. It's crazy, you're the bard, and you're not the problem of the story. This is enlightening. Bards are usually the biggest problems. Actually, no, I think paladins and rogues are starting to come up in the mix as well. But anyways, it's nice to see that you're not the problem as the bard. Wally, a level 3 dwarf barbarian, and the youngest in the group. Despite this, he is one of the most mature people I have ever met in my entire life. Jesse, a level 6 orc archer, and a friend of mine who has severe trolling addiction. Can't blame him, to be honest. Furry 1, a level 6 anthropomorphic Doberman who is also an archer, also one of the DM's friends. Furry number 2, a level 4 anthropomorphic fox that is a warlock, another one of DM's friends. And finally, the person you have been waiting for, Jared. Oh no, did you name them Jared after Subway? The gay furry DM with his own character, an allegedly level 10 wolf person that had a class I completely forgot about. I think it started with an S, but I forgot the rest. So anyways, now that you are familiar with our characters, put on your hazmat suits because this story may give you radiation poisoning from just how damn toxic it is. This story starts with me being invited to a furry Discord server by Jesse. Jesse tells me that a group of furries have began a D&D session in a voice chat channel and wants me to join, as well as Wally. I begrudgingly accept and enter the Discord server. Wally enters a few minutes after I do. I assume Jesse invited him too. After going through a few verification systems and a couple of extra minutes of waiting, I managed to get in, because if Jesse got in, technically anyone could get in. Me and Wally joined the Discord call. And the first thing I notice is the DM has his camera on, and he's wearing a fursuit. Nothing really strange considering it's a furry Discord server after all, but whatever. Jesse then introduces me and Wally to the DM, Jared. Jared welcomes us and begins to set the layout for his campaign. The story is set in a post-apocalyptic world called Conan Gaffin, and I'm pretty sure Conan is the Belgian word for king. Oh, koning is the Belgian word for king. I think that's what you meant. But that isn't really important. Conan Gaffin has been rocked by war after war after war, and resources are beginning to run out. But there is hope because a sacred island known as the Oasis lies in the middle of the land. But the Oasis is walled off by a tyrannical ruler who wishes to keep the Oasis for him and him only. And it is our group's job to overthrow the ruler and open the Oasis to everyone in the wasteland. That actually sounds kind of awesome. That sounds kind of cool, actually. Anyways. It is up to us to save the people of Conan Gaffin. Let us embark on this journey, Jared says through the mic. Then he begins to bark a couple of times. What a weirdo. Jesse begins to slow clap. And Jared then tells us to introduce our characters before getting started. Here's where me and my friends' characters come into play, because they are all quite literal stereotypes. My character is an Italian bard named Paco Trompetti. His abilities are to aggressively use his trumpet to annoy and harass enemies and play encouraging tunes that buff up teammates. Wally's character is called Oliver. That's it, just Oliver, a Scottish dwarf who wields a giant greatsword and a pair of bagpipes. Although he made it so Oliver could only use his bagpipes every 2 turns. And the craziest character of them all, Jesse's character, a Soviet-Russian orc named Vasily Okanov, who was equipped with a crossbow that shot flaming arrows. Get this, Vasily even had a summoning ability that, when used, would summon the friggin' spirit of Joseph Stalin, who was immune to most types of damage and would assist our group for 5 turns. Not only that, every time Jesse used that summoning ability, he would blast the Soviet-Russian national anthem through his mic. You all are a bunch of trolls, really. But what was even crazier was that after hearing about our characters, Jared actually accepted our characters, stating that we are funny and he liked them. He only made it that Jesse reduced the OP-ness of his character's Stalin summoning ability, now making it so he would help for 3 turns and have a bit less damage. Furry, too, was a little bit grumpy about the fact that Jared had actually allowed these characters, and complained to Jared, only for Jared to brush it off and tell him to just deal with it. Did you mean tell him, but you wrote tail? Was that a Freudian slip there with your furriness on your mind? That attitude kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I chose to ignore it. You're a troll, indeed. Now, Jared was setting the scene, his wolf character named Itano Dervako, and Furry number 1 and Furry number 2's characters, Jesani and Rick. We're all on a speedboat and had just arrived in the wasteland city of Crater Town, a small town built inside of an old meteorite crater. Me, Jesse, and Wally's character were also conveniently on a speedboat and had also just arrived in Crater Town's port. Eventually, after stepping off the boat and into the dock, Jared's character approached us. He then introduces himself and says we don't look like the average wastelanders to him, and that we look the tough part, who doesn't look like they take crap from anyone, and offers for us to join him. To progress the story, we all agree, and step into the dock of Crater Town. Then, Jared says that he pulls Paco aside in character. I reply, "What is it, amigo?" Jared responds, "Distract those guards. Since we don't have enough silver to gain entrance, I then began to describe how my character approaches the— Oh, sorry, you didn't add the little speech was done part to the sentence. So I kept going in character. Okay, let's try that again. I then began to describe how my character approaches the guards and pulls out his trumpet. So here's how things work. The rules of this campaign are quite different compared to regular D&D rules, at least different from how I see. You basically have to turn on your camera and pull out your dice. If you roll a high number using the dice, you succeed or successfully attack an enemy. If the number is higher, then you may even get a better outcome than what you were expecting. Jared says you don't need a specific dice. That's what he explained to us before the session started, so I turn on my camera and direct my laptop to my dice bag. I pull out a random dice and roll it. I roll a 5. Therefore, Jared begins to describe as I play a tune on my trumpet that rightfully confuses the guards, but distracts them as everyone else slips through the gate, which is conveniently open. When I mention to Jared that my character is still outside and won't be able to get into the city since I don't have any silver with me, Jared simply says, "Well, you find a bag of silver that allows you to pay off the guards and you enter the city." How wonderful. Now we're all inside the city. Jared then says in character, "Come on, let's celebrate our little victory by going to a bar to pick up a drink." Wally then says, mustering his best Scottish accent— I can't do Scottish accents, that's it. "We just bloody met you." That's a bit Australian, I think. "And it's not like we're begrudging a bunch of silver. Can't we just do something else?" I kind of got it a bit at the end there. Furry number 2 snickers from their mic. Jared responds, "Fine. Be like that, dwarf. We'll just go look for some bounties." A few hours of needlessly doing random stuff around the town and the occasional instance of Jared acting entitled, our group is traveling to a large bandit camp for a large reward of silver for killing their leader, the Maskful Lady, which is a stupid name, by the way. On the way to the bandit camp, we get ambushed by a group of bandits from a rival camp. They are described as being horny dog people with makeshift armor and wielding dildos. Yep. You heard that right. Horny dog people armed with dildos. This shocks me and Wally. Jesse doesn't say anything, although he later tells me that he was kind of expecting something like that. Anyways, we now have to fight them. Are you sure they weren't trolling you? So Jared gives Jesse the first turn and tells him to roll a dice and turn on his camera to prevent cheating. Jesse says, hold on for a moment, and is AFK for a little while. Afterwards, he turns on his camera and shows his dice. Just a regular dice. Not a D&D one, just a standard 1 through 6 die. Jared tells him to roll. Jesse does, and he lands a 6. Yo, I'm about to summon my mans! Jesse shouts. Jesse then says something like, using the power of my ultra instinct Soviet summoning power, given to me by Mother Russia herself, rise! Rise! Spirit of Russia, rise! Jesse then describes how a ghostly figure rises from the ground. It is the one and only Joseph Stalin! Get him, Stalin! Jesse said something like that, yes. Now, we have the literal ghost of Joseph Stalin on our team for 3 turns. Lovely. Jared then calls out Paco. It's now my turn. I say I want to cast a spell using my trumpet to grant everyone a small defense bonus. Jared tells me to roll another 5. So I get what I want and manage to play a small tune using my trumpet, giving everyone else +2 to defense. Jared then tells Wally it's his turn, and to roll a dice. Wally turns on his camera and puts out a dice. He rolls and gets the highest frickin' number. Wally then says that his character, Oliver, attacks one of the bandits with all his might, instantly killing the bandit. All of a sudden, Jared says, the enemy bandits retreat due to seeing their comrade getting killed so easily. You win! You can loot now! You can also roll a dice for a chance to get something good! Jesse then volunteers to roll. He then turns on his camera, rolls his dice, and gets a 4. Since Jesse's using a regular old dice, 1 and 2 are the lowest numbers. 3 is regular, and the rest above mean that you get something good. Since Jesse got a 4, he loots 40 silver and an iron dagger. Why the bandits had dildos instead of actual weapons is beyond me. Anyways, Jesse kindly splits the silver equally between us. I get 5, Wally gets 5, Jared, Furry 1, and 2 get 5. Jesse keeps the last 15 for himself. That's when we end the session right there. These first sessions were actually quite chill, aside from always getting ambushed by horny dog people with dildos, and Oliver's character nearly getting butt-rammed. Things were fine. Until they spiraled out of control when we made it to the bandit camp for that bounty. Jared said that the masked lady was deep inside the hideout and we had to find her and decapitate her to prove we had made the kill. Okay, so a bunch of fights later and we've made it to the lady's chambers. This is when, out of the blue, Jared's character walks up to the masked lady, who is a sexy catwoman, and kisses her hand. That's when he announces that he's deceived you all, and that he was actually working with the masked lady to kill us. He then literally kills Furry 1 and 2's characters off. And now it's just me, Jesse, and Wally, since Furry 1 and 2 understandably leave. Keep in mind that this came out of the blue, and just as things were crazy enough, Jared begins to describe his character approaching Wally's character, Oliver, and fondling him. Oh, that's when Wally decides to leave, and I wouldn't blame him. Jesse then turns on his camera and gives an incredibly evil smile. Look in the chat, I sent you a link, he says menacingly. Jared pauses his act. We hear him click and mess around with his keyboard. After one click, his stereo on desk erupts in an extremely ear-gasming version of Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. The song plays incredibly loud, so loud I have to lower my volume. Jared leaves soon after, but I can out the sound of someone else yelling his real name from down his room before he left. I can assume that was his mother. LOL. Me, Wally, and Jesse are promptly banned from the Discord server a few hours later. I look back on this day fondly and negatively. On one hand, this story was about some in-game assault, if you could really call it that. On the other, it had a happy ending where the FURRY DM was Rickrolled. and me and my friends get a good laugh at it. Jesse told me after that incident that he always has an eargasm Rickroll prepared for some epic troll material, always. This was all I could remember, and I might have left some stuff out, but still, if you made it here, I applaud you. Thank you, and remember to Rickroll on. Appreciate you, Jesse. You're my mans. Oh boy, what an interesting and chaotic experience that was to go through. Oh man. You join a furry Discord server, have a furry lead the party, betray you at the end, and then you send him a blasting Rickroll that gets him called out by his mother. It's weird how it would have played through his speakers, though, and not through his headset. Was he not using a headset? Probably a good thing, because if you were, then that would have hurt your ears. But hey, that was interesting. Thanks for sharing. I'm sure we all appreciate it, right? Anyways, that concludes our tale for today. If you'd like to hear another, come back and I shall tell you one.